The night Emma Chen got into the wrong car, she had exactly 2 thoughts. Don't let him catch you, and please God, let this be my Uber. She was wrong about the Uber. But the prayer? That one got answered in ways she never could have imagined. 3 hours earlier, Emma's hands shook as she stacked the last of the dinner plates in the industrial dishwasher at Rossetti's, an upscale Italian restaurant in downtown Chicago where she worked as a server. 28 years old, business degree gathering dust in a drawer, and she was scraping leftover ossobuco into the trash while her ex-boyfriend sat in the parking lot waiting for her shift to end. Again. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Girl. He's still out there, Kiara whispered, peeking through the kitchen's back door window. Her coworker's face was tight with worry. That's the 4th night this week. You need to call the cops. And tell them what? Emma pulled off her apron with jerky movements. That my ex-boyfriend is sitting in a public parking lot? He hasn't technically done anything illegal. He's stalking you. The restraining order expired last month. His lawyer made sure of that. Emma's voice was flat, emotionless. She'd cried all her tears about Marcus 3 months ago, when she finally left him. Now she just felt tired and scared in equal measure. Marcus had seemed perfect at first. Charming, attentive, successful. Then came the jealousy, the controlling behavior, the accusations. Then the night he'd grabbed her wrist so hard it left bruises, and Emma had finally understood what her mother had been trying to tell her for months. Love isn't supposed to hurt, baby girl. She'd left him, moved to a new apartment, changed her number, but Marcus couldn't accept it. He showed up at her work, sent flowers to her building, left voicemails that oscillated between apologetic and threatening. The restraining order had helped for 60 days. Now it was gone, and Marcus was escalating. At least let me walk you to your car, Kiara insisted. I took the bus today. Car's in the shop. Emma grabbed her purse and jacket. I'll be fine. It's a public street. Lots of people around. But when Emma pushed through Rossetti's back door into the cool October air, the street was quieter than usual. A Thursday night, post-dinner rush, most restaurants already closing up. The bus stop was 2 blocks away, and Marcus's silver Lexus sat between here and there like a predator waiting to pounce. Emma's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. We need to talk. I'm not leaving until you hear me out. Her heart hammered. She'd blocked Marcus's number, but he kept getting new ones, kept finding ways around her boundaries. Emma's fingers flew across her screen, opening the Uber app. The nearest driver was 8 minutes away. Too long. She started walking, fast, but not running. Running showed fear, and Marcus fed on fear. Emma. His voice cut through the night. Emma, wait. Please, just 5 minutes. She walked faster. The bus stop was just ahead. Well lit, visible, safe. Emma, don't ignore me. Footsteps behind her, quick and angry. I said we need to talk. Emma's walk became a jog. Her server shoes, cheap and worn, slapped against the pavement. Marcus was shouting now, his voice taking on that edge that meant he was past reasoning, past charm, into the dangerous place where he believed his feelings justified anything. You can't just throw away what we had. You owe me a conversation. I owe you nothing, Emma thought, but she didn't waste breath saying it. She just ran. The bus stop appeared ahead, empty. No bus, no people. Just harsh fluorescent lighting that suddenly seemed less like safety and more like a spotlight marking her position. Emma's breath came in gasps. Marcus was close now, so close she could hear his ragged breathing. And then she saw it. A black car idling at the corner, hazard lights blinking. Sleek, expensive, windows tinted dark. The Uber app was still open on her phone, still showing 8 minutes away. But maybe the app had glitched. Maybe this was her ride after all. Emma didn't think. She just ran to the car and yanked open the back door. Thank God, she gasped, throwing herself inside and slamming the door behind her. Please just drive. There's a man following me, and I need to get out of here right now. Please. She looked up. The man in the back seat was absolutely not an Uber driver. He wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than Emma's monthly rent. Tailored so perfectly it looked like it had been sewn onto his body. Dark hair swept back, sharp cheekbones, and eyes the color of espresso that were currently fixed on her with an intensity that made her breath catch. He was maybe 40, with the kind of face that belonged in a cologne ad, beautiful in a dangerous, untouchable way. Next to him sat a leather briefcase, and in the front seat, two massive men had turned around, hands moving toward their jackets in a way that made Emma's survival instincts scream. "Oh my God!" Emma's hand flew to the door handle. "Oh my God! This isn't my Uber." "No," the man in the suit said quietly. His voice was smooth, controlled, with the faintest trace of an accent Emma couldn't place. "It's not. I'm so sorry. I thought there was a man. And I just—" Emma was already halfway out the door when his next words stopped her cold. "The man in the silver Lexus. Is that who's following you?" Emma froze, one foot on the curb, and turned back slowly. Through the car's tinted windows, she could see Marcus standing on the sidewalk 20 feet away, scanning the street with frantic movements, looking for her. "How did you know that?" she whispered. The man's eyes hadn't left her face. "Because he's been circling this block for the past 10 minutes, watching. The restaurant. And because you look terrified." He leaned forward slightly. "Get back in the car. I don't even know you." "True. But you know him. And you ran from him." The man's voice was calm, logical. "Which of us do you trust more right now?" It was insane. It was the kind of decision that got women killed in true crime documentaries. But Marcus was out there, and this stranger, this dangerous-looking stranger in his expensive suit, was offering escape. Emma pulled her foot back inside and closed the door. "Drive," the man said to the front seat. The car pulled smoothly away from the curb. Through the rear window, Emma saw Marcus spot the movement, saw him start running after them for a few futile steps before giving up. Then they turned a corner, and he disappeared from view. Emma's whole body started shaking. Adrenaline, fear, relief. It all crashed over her at once. She pressed her hands to her face, trying to breathe, trying to process what she'd just done. "You're safe. Now." The man's voice was surprisingly gentle. "I'm Dante Morelli." Emma lowered her hands slowly. Emma Chen." She looked at him properly for the first time, really looked, and felt something shift in her chest. His expression wasn't predatory or threatening. It was concerned. "I'm sorry for jumping into your car. I panicked. Don't apologize for survival instincts." Dante shifted slightly, giving her more space despite the car being spacious enough for 3 people comfortably. "The man in the Lexus. Ex-boyfriend?" Emma nodded miserably. "Marcus. We broke up 3 months ago, but he won't accept it. He shows up at my work, follows me home, sends me dozens of messages a day. I had a restraining order, but it expired, and now—" Her voice cracked. "Now I don't know what to do." Dante was quiet for a moment, his dark eyes studying her with that same unsettling intensity. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call, speaking in rapid Italian. Emma caught only a few words: license plate, surveillance. Immediately before he ended the call and turned back to her. "What's your address?" "Why?" "So I can take you home safely." Emma hesitated. Every instinct screamed not to give this stranger her address. But she'd already gotten into his car, already trusted him this far, and something about Dante Morelli made her feel safer than she'd felt in months. "Lakeview," she said finally. "Corner of Diversey and Sheffield." Dante relayed the information to the driver, then settled back into his seat. The car smelled like leather and expensive cologne, nothing like the Ubers Emma usually took with their air fresheners and questionable stains. "Thank you," Emma said quietly, "for not kicking me out. For helping. You don't need to thank me for basic human decency. Most people wouldn't have done what you just did. Then most people are cowards." Dante's voice was matter of fact, not boastful. "Your ex-boyfriend is a predator. Predators rely on their aphthora, victims being isolated. You needed help, and you asked for it. That took courage." Emma felt tears burning behind her eyes. She'd been so scared, so alone for so long. Her parents had passed away in a car accident when she was 19, leaving her to raise her younger brother alone. She had Kiara and a few other friends, but everyone was busy with their own lives. If you find this story engaging, please take a moment to subscribe and enable notifications. It helps us continue producing in-depth content like this. Their own problems. Most days, Emma felt like she was drowning, barely keeping her head above water between work and bills and Marcus's relentless harassment. And now this stranger, this man who looked like he'd walked out of a movie about dangerous, powerful people, was treating her with more kindness than anyone had in months. Do you always rescue random women who jump into your car? Emma asked, trying to lighten the moment. Dante's mouth quirked, not quite a smile, but close. This is a first, actually. Lucky me. Perhaps. His eyes hadn't left her face. Or perhaps luck had nothing to do with it. The car glided through Chicago's streets, smooth and silent. Emma watched the city lights blur past, her heartbeat slowly returning to normal. She should have felt awkward, trapped in a car with 3 strange men. Instead, she felt cocooned, protected. "Can I ask you something?" Emma said, after a few minutes of comfortable silence. "Of course." "Who are you really?" "Because those men in front," she gestured toward the driver and passenger, both built like professional bodyguards. "They're not exactly typical. And this car is worth more than I'll make in 5 years. So who are you, Dante Morelli?" Dante was quiet for a long moment, his expression unreadable. When he finally spoke, his voice was careful, measured. "I'm someone who understands what it means to be trapped by circumstances. Someone who believes that power should be used to protect, not to control." He turned to face her fully. "And someone who would like to make sure that man never bothers you again." "You can't just make him disappear," Emma said. But even as the words left her mouth, she wondered if maybe, possibly, Dante Morelli was exactly the kind of man who could. "I won't do anything without your permission," Dante assured her. "But Emma, men like your ex-boyfriend don't stop unless they're forced to stop. A conversation won't work. Reasoning won't work. He needs to understand that you're under protection now." "Protection from who?" "You? If you'll accept it." Emma should have said no. Should have thanked him politely, gotten out at her building, and gone back to her complicated, scary, but familiar life. Instead, she heard herself ask, "Why would you do that? You don't even know me." Dante's dark eyes held hers, and Emma felt the full weight of his attention like a physical thing. "Because someone once helped me when I desperately needed it. And because," he paused, choosing his words carefully, "because something tells me you're worth protecting." The car pulled up in front of Emma's building, a modest 3-story walk-up that had seen better decades. Through the window, Emma could see her apartment on the 2nd floor. Lights off, empty. Her younger brother Jamie was away at college, leaving her alone in a space that suddenly felt very isolating. "This is me," Emma said, not moving to get out. Dante reached into his jacket and pulled out a business card, heavy cardstock, cream-colored, with a single phone number embossed in black. "If he bothers you again, if you feel unsafe, if you need anything at all." He pressed the card into her hand. "Call this number, day or night." Emma took the card, her fingers brushing his for just a moment. The contact sent an unexpected spark through her. "Will you answer?" "Always." She believed him. God help her, she believed every word. Emma opened the car door, then paused. "Dante, what do you do? For work, I mean." His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes, a warning, maybe, or an apology. "I manage investments, import-export, various business interests across the city." It was the kind of vague answer that meant everything and nothing. Emma recognized evasion when she heard it. But right now, sitting in this expensive car with a man who'd just saved her from her abusive ex, she found she didn't care what Dante Morelli really did. She just cared that he'd been there when she needed someone. "Thank you," Emma said softly. "Really. You saved me tonight. Then we're even." "Even for what?" Dante smiled. A real smile this time that transformed his entire face from intimidating to heartbreakingly human. "For reminding me why any of this matters." Before Emma could ask what that meant, he nodded toward her building. "Go inside. Lock your doors. I'll wait until you're safely upstairs." Emma climbed out of the car and walked to her building's entrance, acutely aware of Dante's eyes on her the entire way. When she reached her apartment and turned on the lights, she looked out the window. The black car was still there, idling at the curb like a guardian. She raised her hand in a small wave. Through the tinted windows, she saw movement, Dante returning the gesture. Then the car pulled away, disappearing into the Chicago night. Emma stood at her window for a long time after, turning the cream-colored business card over in her fingers, trying to understand what had just happened. She'd jumped into a stranger's car, been protected by a man who looked like he'd walked out of a crime movie, and somehow felt safer than she had in months. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Where did you go? Who was in that car? Emma? Answer me." Emma stared at the message, then at the business card in her hand. For the first time in 3 months, she didn't feel the familiar spike of fear when she saw Marcus's name. Instead, she felt something new. A small, dangerous ember of hope. She saved Dante's number in her phone under a single initial. D. Then she blocked Marcus's latest number and went to bed, sleeping soundly for the first time in weeks. 2 blocks away, in the back of his car, Dante Morelli made a series of phone calls in rapid Italian. His security team mobilized with the efficiency of a military operation, pulling Marcus Chen's entire life apart in real time. Employment records, financial statements, criminal history, known associates. Boss, his driver Antonio said carefully. The girl, is she? She's under protection, Dante interrupted, his voice cold and absolute. Effective immediately. I want surveillance on her building, her workplace, and I want every detail about Marcus Chen on my desk by morning. If he so much as drives past her apartment, I want to know about it. Understood. But boss, getting involved with civilians, I said she's under protection. Dante's tone left no room for argument. That's not negotiable. Antonio fell silent, but Dante could see him exchanging glances with Marco in the passenger seat. They'd worked for Dante for over a decade, had seen him build his empire with ruthless precision, had watched him maintain careful distance from everyone except his daughter, and now they'd just witnessed him offer protection to a waitress he'd met 5 minutes ago. Dante knew what they were thinking, that he was making a mistake, that Emma Chen was a liability, that caring about anyone outside the family made you vulnerable. They were right to worry, but Dante had seen something in Emma's eyes when she'd burst into his car. Desperation, yes, but also fierce determination. She hadn't begged or cried or played victim. She'd asked for help, clear and direct, and then she'd trusted her instincts. That took strength, real strength, the kind Dante rarely saw in his world where everyone calculated angles and played games. Sir, Antonio said quietly. The woman, Emma Chen, she asked what you do. I know. What will you tell her if she asks again? Dante looked out at the city, lights, at the empire he'd built from blood and strategy and careful control. The truth, he said finally, when she's ready to hear it. And if she runs, then I'll have kept her safe, Dante thought. And that will be enough. But out loud, he said nothing at all. Emma didn't hear from Marcus for 3 days. 3 blissful, peaceful days where she took the bus to work without looking over her shoulder, where she walked home at night without her keys clutched between her fingers like a weapon, where she actually slept through the night instead of jolting awake at every sound. She told herself it was coincidence, that Marcus had finally gotten the message, that the restraining order expiring didn't mean he'd actually escalate. She almost believed it. On the 4th day, Marcus's car was gone from its usual spot outside Rossetti's, but someone else was watching. Emma noticed him during her lunch break, a man in a dark jacket standing across the street, eyes fixed on the restaurant's entrance. When she came back out after her shift, he was gone, but a different man had taken his place. Same dark clothing, same careful attention. Emma's stomach twisted. More of Marcus's games. Maybe he'd hired someone, escalated from stalking to something worse. She pulled out her phone, staring at the contact saved as D. Her thumb hovered over the call button. Don't be ridiculous, she told herself. Dante Morelli has his own life. He was being kind, that's all. But her hand was shaking, and the man across the street was watching, and Emma was so tired of being afraid. She pressed call. He answered on the 2nd ring. Emma. Just her name, but the way he said it like he'd been waiting for her call, like he was relieved to hear from her, made something warm unfurl in her chest. Dante, I'm sorry to bother you, but... She glanced across the street. The man was still there, now talking into a phone. There are people watching me. Outside my work. I think Marcus might have hired. Those are my men. Emma's breath caught. What? The 2 men watching your restaurant. They work for me. You're under protection, Emma. I told you that. I thought you meant... Emma's mind reeled. You've had people watching me for 3 days? Yes. No apology in his voice. No justification. Just simple fact. That's insane. That's... Emma lowered her voice as a coworker passed by. Dante, you can't just assign bodyguards to someone without asking. Would you have said yes if I'd asked? No. Then I made the right choice. A pause. Has Marcus contacted you since Thursday? Emma thought about the sudden silence, the absence of his usual barrage of texts and calls. No, nothing. Good. That means he got the message. What message? Emma's voice rose despite herself. Dante, what did you do? Nothing illegal. His tone was maddeningly calm. Marcus Chen received a visit from someone explaining that you're under protection now, that any further contact would be inadvisable. You threatened him. I had someone explain reality to him. There's a difference. Emma should have been angry. Should have felt violated that this man she'd met for 20 minutes had inserted himself into her life so completely. Instead, she felt that same warm ember of hope flare brighter. For 3 days, she'd been safe. For 3 days, she'd breathed freely. And it was because of Dante Morelli. I don't know whether to thank you or yell at you, Emma admitted. She could hear the smile in his voice. You could do both. I have time. Despite everything, Emma laughed. You're impossible. I've been called worse. Listen, I'm downtown right now, near Millennium Park. Have you eaten? I just got off my shift. That's not what I asked. Emma thought about the leftover pasta waiting in her fridge, about eating alone in her empty apartment like she did most nights. No, I haven't eaten. Then have dinner with me, please. He added the please like an afterthought, like he wasn't used to asking for things instead of commanding them. Let me explain everything properly, face to face. Emma knew she should say no, knew that getting involved with Dante Morelli, whoever he really was, would complicate her life in ways she couldn't predict. But she also knew that she'd been thinking about him for 3 days straight, replaying their conversation, studying that business card like it held secrets. Okay, Emma heard herself say. Where? I'll send a car. 20 minutes. Dante, I can take an Uber. Emma. His voice went soft but firm. You're under my protection. That means I know where you are and how you get there. The car will be safer. This is really weird, you know that? I know, but you'll get used to it. The confidence in his voice, the absolute certainty that she would get used to it, that this was just the beginning, should have terrified her. Instead, it made her smile. The car that arrived 20 minutes later was the same black sedan from Thursday night. But this time, Emma climbed in the back seat knowing exactly what she was doing. Antonio, the driver, nodded politely at her in the rearview mirror. Miss Chen. Good evening. You know my name. Boss's orders. We know everything about the people under our protection. That should have been creepy. Instead, it was oddly comforting. They drove through downtown Chicago as the sun set, turning the skyscrapers into towers of gold and shadow. Emma had lived in this city her whole life, but she'd never seen it quite like this from the back of a luxury car, with a mysterious man's protection wrapped around her like an invisible shield. The restaurant Dante had chosen wasn't the kind of place Emma could ever afford on her own. Cielo was on the 40th floor of a glass building overlooking Lake Michigan, the kind of establishment where the menu didn't list prices and the wait list was 3 months long. A hostess led Emma through the dining room, all soft lighting and hushed conversations, to a private corner table where Dante sat waiting. He stood when he saw her, and Emma's breath caught. In his car, Dante had been imposing. Here, in a charcoal suit that fit him like a second skin, dark hair perfectly styled, he was devastating. Every woman in the restaurant tracked his movement, but his eyes never left Emma. You came, he said, pulling out her chair. You sounded pretty sure I would. Hopeful and sure are different things. Dante settled across from her, and for a moment, they just looked at each other. You're angry about the protection detail. I'm conflicted about it, Emma corrected. She accepted a menu from the hovering waiter but didn't open it. On one hand, it's invasive and controlling. On the other hand, I slept through the night for the first time in months. Then I'd say the ends justify the means. That's a dangerous philosophy. It's the only one that matters in my world. Dante leaned forward slightly. Emma, I'm going to be honest with you, because you deserve that. My life is complicated. The work I do, the people I associate with, it's not what you're used to. You're in the Mafia. Emma said it flatly, watching his reaction. Dante didn't flinch, didn't deny. That's one word for it. What's your word for it? I manage family interests. Legitimate businesses, mostly. Restaurants, construction, import-export. But yes, the family has a history. And that history comes with certain expectations and certain protections. Emma absorbed this, turning it over in her mind. She should have been scared. Should have gotten up and walked out. But sitting across from Dante, watching the careful way he spoke, the honest concern in his dark eyes. She found she wasn't afraid of him at all. "Why me?" she asked quietly. "You must have seen 1,000 people in trouble. Why offer protection to someone you don't even know?" Dante was quiet for a long moment, his fingers tracing the stem of his water glass. When he finally spoke, his voice was lower, more vulnerable than she'd heard before. 3 years ago, my wife died. Cancer. Aggressive. Fast. Gone in 6 months. He looked out at the darkening sky. "I have a daughter, Lucia. She was 5 when her mother passed, and for a year after I was lost, going through motions, building the business, maintaining control, but feeling nothing." Emma's heart clenched. "Dante, let me finish." He met her eyes again. "Last year, Lucia got separated from her nanny at Navy Pier, wandered off, ended up crying in a crowd of strangers. And a woman found her, stayed with her, kept her safe until security located me." He paused. "That woman didn't know who I was. Didn't know Lucia was connected to any power or money. She just saw a scared little girl and helped. Asked for nothing in return. Like I jumped into your car," Emma realized. "Exactly like that. Both times. Someone needed help and someone provided it without calculation, without agenda. Just human kindness." Dante's expression softened. "That woman reminded me that the power I've built should mean something beyond territory and profit. It should protect the people who can't protect themselves. So I'm your good deed." Emma tried to sound light, but something in her chest felt tight. "You're someone who deserves to live without fear. And I have the means to make that happen." Dante reached across the table, not touching her but close. "I'm not asking for anything in return, Emma. Not gratitude, not loyalty, not anything else. I just want you to be safe." Emma looked at his hand. So close to hers. Strong, scarred knuckles. A man who'd built an empire with those hands, who'd protected a daughter, who'd dispatched threats with a single phone call. A man who was offering her something she'd been craving for months. Safety. "Okay," Emma said quietly. Dante's eyebrows rose. "Okay? I accept your protection. On one condition. Name it. You have dinner with me once a week, here or anywhere else. I don't care. But if you're going to have people watching my life, then I want to be part of yours too, not just someone you protect from a distance." For the first time since she'd met him, Dante looked genuinely surprised. "You want to spend time with me? Is that so strange?" "Emma, you understand what I am, what being associated with me means. I understand that you've been kinder to me than anyone in a year. I understand that when I was terrified, you helped without hesitation. I understand." She took a breath. "I understand that I haven't stopped thinking about you for 3 days." The admission hung between them, brave and reckless. Dante stared at her like she was something rare and breakable. "Once a week," he finally said. "But Emma, if this becomes dangerous, if my world touches yours in ways I can't control, then we'll deal with it together." Emma smiled. "That's how this works, right? You protect me. I trust you. Partnership. Partnership," Dante repeated, like he was testing the word. Then, slowly, that devastating smile appeared. "I can work with that." They ordered food Emma couldn't pronounce, drank wine that probably cost more than her rent, and talked for 3 hours. Dante told her about Lucia, 8 years old now. Smart as a whip, obsessed with marine biology. Emma told him about her brother Jamie, about losing their parents, about working 2 jobs to put him through college. "You raised him alone?" Dante asked, something like admiration in his voice. "Someone had to. He was only 14 when Mom and Dad died. I was 19, barely an adult myself." Emma shrugged. "But he's graduating this spring. Full scholarship to Northwestern. I'm so proud I could burst. He's lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have him. He's the only family I've got." Dante's expression turned thoughtful. "Family is everything. It's why I do what I do to make sure Lucia grows up protected, provided for, safe. Even if that means," Emma hesitated, "even if that means doing things that aren't legal, everything I do for my daughter is legal," Dante said carefully. "The family businesses are clean now. Have been for years. But the reputation, the connections, those remain. And yes, I use them when necessary. Like threatening my ex-boyfriend. Like ensuring your ex-boyfriend understands that you're no longer alone and vulnerable." Emma studied him across the table, this powerful, dangerous, surprisingly gentle man who'd crashed into her life like a comet. I should be scared of you. Are you? She thought about it. Really thought. No. I'm scared of what knowing you might mean for my life. But you? She shook her head. You make me feel safer than I've felt in years. Something shifted in Dante's expression, walls coming down, careful control giving way to raw emotion. Emma. His phone buzzed. Dante glanced at it, and his entire demeanor changed. The gentle man across the table vanished, replaced by someone colder, harder. I need to take this, he said, standing. Excuse me. He walked to a quiet corner of the restaurant, phone pressed to his ear, and Emma watched his body language shift, shoulders tightening, jaw clenching, one hand forming a fist. When he returned 5 minutes later, his expression was carefully neutral again, but Emma could see the tension radiating from him. Is everything okay? She asked. There's a situation I need to handle. Antonio will take you home, Dante. I'm sorry. He pulled out his wallet, threw several bills on the table, far more than their meal could possibly cost. I'll call you tomorrow. Is it dangerous? This situation? Dante paused, studying her face. Potentially. But that's my world, Emma, not yours. I thought we were partners. We are, which is why I'm keeping you separate from this. He touched her hand briefly, a fleeting connection that sent warmth through. Trust me, please. Emma wanted to argue, wanted to demand he let her in fully, but she saw the worry in his eyes, the way he was already mentally calculating whatever problem had just emerged. Be careful, she said instead. Always. Dante's smile was quick and strained. Antonio will make sure you get home safely. I'll have someone outside your building tonight. Then he was gone, striding through the restaurant with the decisive energy of a general heading into battle. Emma sat alone at the table, surrounded by the debris of their dinner, and realized with sudden clarity that she'd just crossed a line she couldn't uncross. She wasn't just accepting Dante's protection anymore. She was starting to care about him. Outside Emma's building, 2:47 a.m., Emma jolted awake to her phone ringing. For a confused moment she thought it was her alarm, then saw the name on the screen. Dante? Her voice was rough with sleep. It's almost 3 in the know. I know. I'm sorry. He sounded tired, strained. I'm outside your building. Can you come down? Just for a minute? Emma's heart kicked into overdrive. Are you okay? Did something happen? I'm fine. A pause. I need to see you. Please. 5 minutes later, Emma stood on the sidewalk in sweatpants and an oversized hoodie, her hair in a messy bun. Dante's car idled at the curb, and when she approached, the back door opened. Dante sat inside, his suit jacket gone, tie loosened, a cut above his eyebrow that hadn't been there at dinner. Oh my God. Emma climbed in without thinking, reaching for his face. You're hurt. It's nothing. But he didn't pull away from her touch. The situation got complicated. What happened? Someone decided to test whether I meant what I said about protecting you. Dante's eyes were dark, serious. One of Marcus's friends thought he could intimidate you. Followed you home tonight, planned to leave a message. Emma's blood ran cold. What kind of message? The kind that would have scared you badly, but my men intercepted him 3 blocks from here. Dante's jaw tightened. He won't be bothering you. Did you? Emma couldn't finish the question. I didn't kill him, if that's what you're asking, but he understands now that you're protected. Permanently. Dante reached up, covering Emma's hand where it still rested against his cheek. I'm sorry. This is my fault. By protecting you, I made you a target. So what do? I increase security. Maybe relocate you somewhere safer. No. Emma's voice was firm. I'm not running from my life because some idiots think they can scare me. That's what Marcus wants, to control me through fear. I won't let him. Dante studied her face, something like pride flickering in his expression. You're brave. Possibly too brave. I'm terrified, Emma admitted. But I'm also tired of being a victim. You're offering protection. I'm accepting it, but I'm not hiding. Emma, no. Listen. She shifted closer, still holding his face. The cut above his eyebrow had stopped bleeding but looked painful. You got hurt tonight because of me, because you decided I was worth protecting. The least I can do is be strong enough to stand beside you instead of cowering behind you. Dante's free hand came up, cupping the back of her neck, thumb brushing her jaw. You have no idea what you're agreeing to. Then tell me. Stop treating me like I'm fragile. For a long moment, they stayed frozen, like that faces inches apart, breathing the same air, balanced on the edge of something neither of them had planned. People in my world, Dante finally said, his voice low and rough. They don't respect weakness. If you're going to be part of my life, even peripherally, you need to be strong, visible, someone they respect. How do I do that? You start by understanding what I really am. Dante's eyes searched hers. Not just the surface, the restaurants and the suits and the way, careful words, the reality underneath. And Emma, that reality is darker than you think. Show me. What? Show me your world. Not the glossy version, the real thing. Emma's heart pounded, but her voice stayed steady. You said we're partners. Partners don't hide from each other. Dante looked at her for a long time, his expression unreadable. Then, so quietly she almost missed it. Tomorrow. I'll pick you up after your shift. You want to see my world? I'll show you everything. It was a warning and a promise and a test all at once. Emma should have been terrified. Instead, she felt electric, alive, more awake than she'd been in years. Okay, she whispered. Dante's thumb traced her cheekbone once, gentle and careful. You're going to change everything, Emma Chen. Is that a bad thing? I don't know yet. His smile was small and honest, but I'm starting to think it might be the best thing that's happened to me in years. Emma barely slept after Dante left. She lay in bed, watching shadows crawl across her ceiling, replaying their conversation, the feel of his hand on her neck, the quiet intensity in his voice when he'd said, "You're going to change everything." What had she agreed to? What world was she stepping into? By the time her alarm went off at 6, Emma had convinced herself 3 times to call Dante and cancel, and 3 times talked herself back into going. She wanted the truth, needed it. Because whatever was growing between them, this strange, powerful connection, it couldn't exist on half-truths and careful evasions. Her shift at Rossetti's dragged by in a blur. She dropped a tray of water glasses, forgot 2 orders, and earned a concerned look from Chiara. "Girl, what is wrong with you today?" her coworker asked during a rare lull. "You're jumpier than a cat in a room full of rocking chairs." "Just tired. Didn't sleep well." "This about that Marcus situation? I haven't seen him lurking around lately. Did something happen?" Something was an obvious understatement. Emma thought about the men Dante had stationed around the restaurant, about Marcus's friend who'd been intercepted 3 blocks from her apartment, about the cut above Dante's eyebrow that he'd dismissed as nothing. "He got the message," Emma said carefully. "I don't think he'll be bothering me anymore." Chiara's eyebrows shot up. "Damn. What did you do? Hire a hitman?" "Close enough," Emma thought but didn't say. At exactly 6 o'clock, Dante's car pulled up outside Rossetti's. Emma had changed out of her uniform into jeans and a simple black sweater, the nicest clothes she owned, that didn't scream, "I'm trying too hard." Antonio held the door open with a small nod. But this time, Dante wasn't in the back seat. "Boss says to bring you to him," Antonio explained. "Different location tonight." A flutter of nervousness hit Emma's stomach. "Where?" "You'll see." They drove south, away from the gleaming downtown towers toward neighborhoods Emma recognized but had never spent much time in. Industrial buildings, warehouses, the kind of area that looked abandoned until you noticed the expensive cars parked in loading bays, the security cameras mounted on every corner. The car pulled into a nondescript warehouse with a simple sign, Morelli Imports. Antonio led her through a side door, down a hallway that smelled like coffee and old concrete, and into an office that didn't match the building's exterior at all. Warm wood paneling, leather furniture, a massive desk with 3 computer monitors, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Chicago River. Dante stood at those windows, phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid Italian. He'd changed since last night, now wearing dark jeans and a black Henley that showed off his build in a way the suits concealed. More approachable somehow, but also more dangerous. Less businessman, more whatever he really was. When he heard them enter, he ended the call and turned. His eyes found Emma immediately, and something in his expression softened. "You came. You sound surprised. I thought you might reconsider." "Most people would." Dante gestured to Antonio, who left silently, closing the door behind him. "Can I get you anything? Coffee? Water?" "Answers," Emma said. "You promised to show me your world. So show me. Dante smiled, not the careful, controlled expression she'd seen before, but something more genuine. Direct. I like that. He walked to his desk, pulled out a folder, and handed it to her. Start with this. Emma opened it. Inside were photographs, documents, financial statements. The first photo showed a restaurant she recognized, a high-end Italian place in River North. The documents showed ownership records, profit margins, employee lists. This is one of yours? She asked. One of 12 restaurants the family owns. All legitimate. We employ over 200 people, pay taxes, follow health codes. The business is clean. Dante pulled out another folder. These are construction, contracts. 4 buildings currently under development. Again, all legal, all properly licensed. Emma flipped through page after page of legitimate business operations. I don't understand. If everything's legal, then why? Look at the names on those contracts, the suppliers, the union representatives. Emma scanned the documents, seeing name after name that meant nothing to her. Then one jumped out. Castellano Concrete Supplies. Castellano. That sounds familiar. It should. The Castellano family runs most of the concrete supply in Chicago. Also waste management, several union locals, and a chain of laundromats. Dante leaned against his desk. They're competitors. Old family, old grudges, old territories. Territories? In my world, Chicago is divided into spheres of influence. My family controls imports, some construction, hospitality. The Castellanos have concrete and waste. The Russos have the docks. The Benedettis have manufacturing. He spoke matter-of-factly, like he was, describing a corporate org chart. We coexist through agreements, mutual respect, and very clear boundaries. Emma processed this. So you're like corporate mafia. That's one way to put it. We're businessmen who happen to have family histories in less legitimate enterprises. Most of us have gone legit. It's easier, safer, and frankly more profitable. But the old connections remain. The old rules still apply. What rules? Dante moved to a cabinet, pulled out a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses. He poured without asking if she wanted any, handed her a glass. Emma took it, more for something to do with her hands than because she wanted to drink. Rule 1. Family protects family. Always. No matter the cost. Dante took a sip, his eyes never leaving hers. Rule 2. Respect boundaries. Don't encroach on another family's territory without permission. Rule 3. Keep the business quiet. No headlines, no police attention, nothing that brings scrutiny. And Rule 4? Emma asked, sensing there was more. Rule 4. Civilians stay out of it. Dante's expression darkened. Families don't target innocent people. Don't use them as leverage. Don't put them in danger. That's the line we don't cross. Emma thought about Marcus's friend, the one who'd planned to leave her a message. But someone crossed that line with me. Yes. And that's why we're here. Dante set down his glass and pulled up something on one of his computer monitors. A surveillance photo appeared grainy, taken from a distance, showing a man Emma didn't recognize talking to someone very familiar. Marcus. Your ex-boyfriend has been making friends, Dante said quietly. Specifically, he reached out to some people in the Castellano organization, offered them information about my routines, my security, my businesses. In exchange, they agreed to help him. Deal with you. Emma's blood went cold. Deal with me how? Scare you enough that you'd run to me for protection. Then use that connection to get closer to my operation. Dante's jaw tightened. Marcus thought he was being clever. Didn't realize he was being used. Used by who? Dante pulled up another photo. A man in his 50s, distinguished-looking, expensive suit. Salvatore Castellano, head of the Castellano family. He's been looking for an opening against me for years. Some way to undermine my businesses, steal contracts, damage my reputation. And I'm that opening. Emma realized, her stomach sinking. You were supposed to be. A civilian connected to me, someone vulnerable they could use as leverage. But they made a mistake. Dante turned to face her fully. They assumed you'd be easy to manipulate. That scaring you would make you dependent on me, compliant, controllable. They didn't account for you being strong enough to fight back. Emma thought about last night, about refusing to be relocated, about demanding to see Dante's world instead of hiding from it. What happens now? Now, we have a choice. Dante moved closer, his voice serious. I can keep you separate from this. Increase your protection. Make sure the Castellanos understand you're off limits, and maintain the fiction that you're just someone I'm helping out of kindness. Or you step fully into my world. We make it clear that you're not just under my protection. You're part of my life. My partner, as you put it. His dark eyes held hers. But Emma, if you do that, if you become visible as someone important to me, you become a permanent piece on this chessboard. The threats won't stop. They'll just change shape. Emma's hands trembled slightly. She set down her untouched whiskey glass. What would that look like? Being part of your life? You'd meet my daughter, my family, my business associates. You'd appear at events with me, charity galas, restaurant openings, meetings. To the outside world, you'd be He paused, choosing words carefully. My companion, someone I care about, someone under my protection, because you matter to me, not out of charity. And in reality, Dante stepped closer, close enough that Emma could feel the heat of him, smell his cologne, cedar, and something darker. In reality, I'd be asking you to trust me with your safety, to let me make decisions about security, about where you go, and who you see. I'd be asking you to give up some of your independence in exchange for protection. That sounds like what Marcus wanted. Control. It does, Dante agreed, surprising her with his honesty. The difference is, I'm asking. And if you ever want to walk away, you can. I'll make sure you're safe, set you up somewhere new if needed, but I won't cage you. That's not protection, that's imprisonment. Emma studied his face, seeing the sincerity there, the vulnerability underneath his careful control. This powerful man was offering her a choice, giving her agency, even when it might be easier to just take control. I need to know something first, Emma said. That night I jumped in your car. Was it really random? Or did you already know who I was? Dante's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Respect. Maybe. For her perception. My car was there because I own Rossetti's. I was meeting with the manager about inventory issues. You jumping into my car? That was random. Fate. Whatever you want to call it. But once you knew my name, did you look into me? Yes. Within an hour, I knew everything. Your employment history, your apartment, your brother, Marcus. Everything. He didn't apologize for it. That's what I do, Emma. Information is power. I don't take chances with people who enter my orbit. And what did that information tell you about me? That you're a fighter. That you raised your brother alone while working 2 jobs. That you've never taken the easy path. Never looked for shortcuts. That you're strong and stubborn and too brave for your own good. Dante's voice softened. And that you deserved better than what life had given you. Emma's throat tightened. You can't fix my life, Dante. I know, but I can make sure you're safe while you fix it yourself. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and took her hand. His palm was warm, calloused. I'm not asking you to love me, Emma. I'm not even asking you to trust me completely. I'm just asking you to let me protect you. And if, over time, we become something more than that. He trailed off, leaving the possibility hanging between them. Emma looked down at their joined hands, feeling the calluses on his fingers, the strength in his grip. She thought about the past week, sleeping through the night, walking to work without fear, eating dinner with someone who actually listened to her. She thought about Dante showing up at 3 a.m. just to see her, about the way he'd gently touched her face, about the vulnerability in his eyes when he'd talked about his wife and daughter. This was insane. She barely knew him. His world was dangerous and complicated, and nothing like her careful, quiet life. But her careful, quiet life had been suffocating her. And Dante Morelli, for all his danger and mystery, made her feel alive. Okay, Emma said quietly. Dante's eyes widened slightly. Okay, I'll step into your world. Meet your daughter, your family. Be visible as someone important to you. Emma squeezed his hand. But I have conditions. Name them. First, I keep my job. I'm not going to sit around being protected while someone else pays my bills. I need to work. Need that independence. Agreed. Though I'd like to assign someone to watch the restaurant. Fine. Second, my brother stays out of this. Jamie is at Northwestern, living his life. He doesn't need to know about any of this. Dante nodded. I already have discreet protection on him, just precautionary. But he won't know, and he won't be involved. Emma blinked. You're already protecting Jamie? You're important to me. That makes him important by extension. Dante said it like it was obvious. What's your third condition? Honesty. Complete honesty. No more half-truths or careful evasions. If something's happening that affects me, I want to know, even if it's dangerous or scary or complicated. That's going to be difficult. Part of protecting you means keeping you separate from certain situations. Then we have a problem. Emma pulled her hand back. Because I won't be your doll, Dante. I won't sit in a pretty cage while you handle everything. If we're doing this, if I'm becoming part of your world, then I need to actually be part of it, not just the window dressing. Dante stared at her for a long moment, something like awe flickering across his features. You really are going to change everything. Is that a yes? It's a compromise. He ran a hand through his hair, clearly struggling with the concept. I'll tell you what you need to know. But Emma, some things in my world, once you know them, you can't unknow. Some information puts you at risk just by having it. Then I'll take that risk. Together. That's what partners do. For a long moment, they stood in the office, surrounded by the trappings of Dante's empire, the legitimate businesses, the careful records, the surveillance photos showing threats and rivals. Two people from completely different worlds, trying to find a way to exist in the space between. Finally, Dante smiled. You're either the bravest woman I've ever met, or the most foolish. Can't I be both? Apparently. He moved to his desk, pulled out a phone, not his regular one, something simpler, and handed it to her. This is a secure line. Only 3 people have the number. Me, Antonio, and Marco, my head of security. If anything happens, if you feel unsafe, if you need anything, you use this phone. Not your regular cell. This one. Emma took the phone, feeling its weight. A lifeline. A leash. Both. There's a car waiting to take you home, Dante continued. Starting tomorrow, you'll have a security detail. They'll be discreet, but they'll be there. When you go to work, when you go home, when you run errands, everywhere. That's going to take some getting used to. I know, but Emma. His voice went serious. The Castellanos know about you now. They know I've made you untouchable. That makes you valuable, either as leverage or as a way to embarrass me if something happens to you. They'll test the boundaries, try to find openings. My men will keep you safe, but you need to be smart. No walking alone at night, no going places without telling someone. No, I get it. Emma cut him off gently. I'll be careful. Dante looked like he wanted to say more, to give her more rules, more warnings, but he just nodded. Saturday night. There's a charity gala at the Art Institute. I need to make an appearance. Would you come with me? As my date. The word came out carefully, like he was testing it. It'll be your introduction to my world. The families will all be there, Castellano, Russo, Benedetti. Everyone who matters. They'll see you with me, understand that you're protected. Emma's heart raced. A gala with Chicago's crime families masquerading as legitimate businessmen. It sounded like something from a movie, not her real life. What do I wear to something like that? Dante's smile turned gentle. I'll take care of it. Just be at your apartment at 6. And Emma? He stepped closer again, his voice dropping. Thank you. For trusting me. I know it's not easy. Nothing about this is easy, Emma admitted. But maybe that's what makes it worth it. She left the warehouse with the secure phone in her pocket, her mind reeling. In the span of 1 week, her entire life had transformed. From a scared waitress hiding from her ex-boyfriend to... What? The girlfriend of a mafia boss? A piece on a chessboard in a game she barely understood? But as Antonio drove her home, as she looked out at the city lights, Emma realized something fundamental. For the first time in years, she felt like she mattered. Not just as Jamie's sister, not just as a body filling a shift at the restaurant, but as herself. Someone worth protecting. Worth fighting for. Dante Morelli had given her that. Now she just had to hope it didn't get her killed. Friday morning, Emma's apartment. Emma was making coffee when someone knocked on her door. Not the usual timid tap of a neighbor, but a firm, authoritative knock that made her stomach flip. She checked the peephole. A woman stood in the hallway, mid-30s, dark hair pulled into a severe bun, wearing a tailored pantsuit and an expression that suggested she didn't smile often. Emma opened the door cautiously, keeping the chain on. "Can I help you? Emma Chen?" The woman's voice was crisp, professional. "My name is Sophia Russo. I'm head of security for Dante Morelli. He sent me to brief you on the protection protocols." Russo, like the family Dante had mentioned. Emma unhooked the chain and opened the door fully. "Are you related to the Russo family? The ones with the docks?" Sophia's lips quirked, not quite a smile, but close. "Yes. My uncle runs that organization. I chose a different path." She stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. "We have a lot to cover, and you have a shift at Rossetti's in 2 hours. Let's make this efficient." For the next hour, Sophia walked Emma through a crash course in personal security. Exit strategies from her apartment building, code words to use if she felt threatened, how to identify the security team versus potential threats, what to do if someone approached her claiming to know Dante. "The most important thing," Sophia said, pulling up photos on her tablet, "is knowing the faces. These are the key players in Chicago's families. If you see any of them approaching you, you call the secure line immediately." Emma studied the faces. Salvatore Castellano, the man targeting her, his sons, Marco and Anthony, various capos and associates. Then Sophia pulled up another photo, and Emma's heart stopped. It was Dante, but younger, maybe 30, standing next to a beautiful woman with warm eyes and a gentle smile. Between them, a tiny girl with dark curls. "That's Maria," Sophia said quietly, "Dante's wife. Taken 6 months before she died." Emma touched the screen gently. She was beautiful. She was kind. Too kind for this world, honestly. But Dante loved her more than anything. Sophia's expression softened. When she got sick, he moved heaven and earth trying to save her. Called in every favor, flew in specialists from around the world. But some things even power and money can't fix. And their daughter? Lucia, 8 years old now. Smart, sweet, loves marine biology, and her father in equal measure. Sophia looked at Emma carefully. "You'll meet her tomorrow before the gala. Dante wants her to know who you are, before you're seen publicly together." Emma's stomach fluttered. "I don't know anything about kids. You raised your brother from age 19. You'll be fine." Sophia closed her tablet. "One more thing. At the gala tomorrow, you'll draw attention. A lot of it. People will be curious about who you are, why Dante brought you, what you mean to him. Don't engage. Be polite, but vague. If anyone asks direct questions, deflect to Dante. Why? Because you're stepping into a world of sharks, Emma. And right now, you're fresh meat. They'll test you, try to find weaknesses, see if you can be manipulated or intimidated." Sophia's eyes were hard. "Don't give them anything to work with." After Sophia left, Emma sat on her couch, staring at the secure phone Dante had given her. This was real. Tomorrow she'd meet his daughter, attend a gala surrounded by crime families, and officially step into a world she'd only seen in movies. Her regular phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Having fun playing dress-up with your new boyfriend? He'll get bored eventually. They always do. M. Marcus." Still circling, still trying to hurt her. Emma stared at the message for a long moment. Then she picked up the secure phone and dialed Dante. He answered on the first ring. "Emma? Are you okay? Marcus texted me. Implied that this is temporary, that you'll get bored." A pause. "How do you feel about that?" Emma thought about it. Really thought. "Honestly, I don't know what this is between us, but I know it's not a game. Not for me." "Not for me either." Dante's voice was warm, solid. "Emma, I don't get bored. When I commit to something, a business, a decision, a person, I'm all in. That's not my personality type." "So what are we doing here? Really? Dante was quiet for a moment. "I'm trying to keep you safe while figuring out if what I feel when I'm near you is just protective instinct or something more. And I think you're doing the same thing." Emma's breath caught. "And if it's something more? Then we figure it out. Together. One day at a time." A smile in his voice now. "Starting with tomorrow. 6 o'clock. Wear something comfortable. We're having pizza with Lucia before the gala." "Pizza?" she insists. Apparently, any woman important enough to meet has to pass the pizza test. Despite everything, the danger, the uncertainty, the insanity of her new reality. Emma laughed. I think I can handle that. After they hung up, Emma blocked Marcus's latest number and deleted the message. He was part of her past. Dante and whatever came next was her future. Terrifying. Yes. Complicated. Absolutely. But for the first time in years, Emma was excited about what tomorrow might bring. Saturday evening, Dante's penthouse. The car that picked Emma up at 5:30 wasn't the usual black sedan. It was a sleek navy Mercedes, and Sophia was driving. You look nervous, Sophia observed as they navigated downtown traffic. I'm meeting an 8-year-old who gets to decide if I pass muster, Emma said. That's scarier than mobsters. Sophia actually laughed. Lucia's easy. Just be yourself. She has good instincts about people, gets it from her father. The penthouse was on the 40th floor of a building overlooking Navy Pier. Sophia led Emma through a private elevator that opened directly into a sprawling apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows, modern furniture, and surprisingly warm touches photos on every surface, a child's drawings on the refrigerator, books scattered across coffee tables. Daddy, they're here. A blur of dark curls and boundless energy came running down the hallway. Lucia Morelli was beautiful olive skin, huge dark eyes, her mother's warm smile. She skidded to a stop in front of Emma, studying her with unabashed curiosity. You're Emma. I am. And you're Lucia. Dad says you work at a restaurant and you're very brave and you like pizza. Is that true? Emma couldn't help but smile. All true, though the bravery part might be exaggerated. Dad doesn't exaggerate. He says if you say something, it should be true, or you shouldn't say it at all. Lucia grabbed Emma's hand with the casual confidence of a child who'd never been taught to fear strangers. Come on. We have pepperoni and mushroom, and Dad says we can watch a movie while we eat because it's a special occasion. Dante appeared from the kitchen, and Emma's breath caught. She'd seen him in suits, seen him in jeans and a Henley, but this was different. Dark slacks and a white dress shirt, with the sleeves rolled up, barefoot, relaxed in his own space. His whole face lit up when he saw her. You're here, he said, and there was such genuine pleasure in his voice that Emma felt warm all over. I was promised pizza and a movie. That's too good to miss. They sat on Dante's enormous couch, Lucia in the middle, Emma on one side, Dante on the other. They ate pizza from actual plates instead of boxes. Apparently, even mob bosses had standards. And watched, Finding Nemo because Lucia was on a marine biology kick, and Emma watched this powerful, dangerous man be gentle with his daughter. The way he listened when Lucia explained facts about clownfish, the way he tickled her when she got too bossy about movie commentary, the way his whole demeanor transformed into something soft and loving. This was the real Dante Morelli, not the man in the warehouse office, not the controlled businessman. This, a father who adored his daughter. When Lucia fell asleep halfway through the movie, her head on Emma's lap, Dante smiled softly. She likes you. That's rare. Emma stroked Lucia's curly hair gently. She's amazing. You've done an incredible job with her. I had help. Sophia, Maria's family, a rotating cast of nannies. He paused. But yes, she's the best thing I've ever done. They sat in comfortable silence until Sophia appeared to carry Lucia to bed. Then Dante stood, offering Emma his hand. We should get ready for the gala. There's a room. Upstairs, someone from a boutique brought options for you to choose from. The options turned out to be 6 stunning gowns in various styles and colors. Emma settled on a deep emerald silk that hugged her curves and made her feel elegant and powerful. A stylist appeared to do her hair and makeup professional but not overdone. When Emma came back downstairs, Dante was waiting in a tuxedo that fit him like a second skin. He looked like he'd stepped out of a Hollywood movie, dangerous, sophisticated, absolutely devastating. His eyes swept over her, and something heated flickered in his gaze. You're beautiful. You clean up okay yourself? They stood there for a moment, just looking at each other. Then Dante offered his arm. Ready to meet Chicago's criminal elite? No, but let's do it anyway. In the car ride to the Art Institute, Dante briefed her. Salvatore Castellano will be there. He'll approach us at some point. It would be a sign of weakness not to. Be polite but distant. Don't engage beyond pleasantries. And if he says something threatening, he won't. Not publicly, but he'll test you. Try to get a read. Dante's hand found hers, squeezed. Just remember, you're with me. That means you're untouchable. The gala was exactly what Emma had expected, and nothing like it at the same time. Beautiful people in expensive clothes, champagne flowing, classical music playing. But underneath the glossy surface, she could sense it, the careful positioning, the watchful eyes, the way certain people orbited certain others like planets around suns. Dante's hand stayed on her lower back, a constant point of contact that felt both protective and possessive. People approached them, business associates, family members, wealthy donors. Dante introduced Emma simply as my companion, and something about the way he said it made it clear she was important. Then Salvatore Castellano materialized from the crowd. He was exactly as his photos suggested, distinguished, silver-haired, sharp eyes that missed nothing. He approached with a smooth smile, and two younger men flanking him. His sons, Emma recognized from Sophia's briefing. Dante, how wonderful to see you. Salvatore's voice was warm, but his eyes were calculating. And with such lovely company. You must introduce me. Emma Chen, Dante said neutrally. Emma, Salvatore Castellano. Emma offered her hand, keeping her expression pleasant but unrevealing. Mr. Castellano. Ah, formal. How refreshing. Salvatore shook her hand, holding it a beat too long. Tell me, Miss Chen, how did you meet our dear Dante? By accident, Emma said, using the literal truth. Wrong car, right moment. Salvatore's eyes sharpened with interest. How intriguing. And now you're here, dressed in elegance, on the arm of one of Chicago's most powerful men. Quite the upgrade from what was it Dante said you do. Something in hospitality? The condescension was subtle but unmistakable. Emma felt Dante tense beside her, but she kept her voice light. I work in a restaurant, yes. It's honest work. Something I'm proud of. Of course. Hard work is admirable. Salvatore's smile didn't reach his eyes. Though I imagine being under Dante's protection must be quite comfortable. Are you enjoying your new position? There it was. The test. The implication that Emma was just a kept woman, someone who'd traded herself for security and luxury. Emma met Salvatore's eyes directly. I'm not under anyone. I'm standing beside someone. There's a difference. Salvatore's eyebrows rose, surprise flickering across his features. Beside her, Emma felt Dante's hand press more firmly against her back approval. Support. Well said, Miss Chen. Salvatore's smile turned more genuine, though no less calculating. Dante, you've chosen well. This one has spine. I'm aware, Dante said coolly. Now if you'll excuse us, we have other people to greet. He steered Emma away smoothly, but not before she caught Salvatore's parting words to his sons. Interesting, very interesting. Once they were out of earshot, Dante leaned close. You handled that perfectly. I wanted to punch him. That would have been less perfect but more satisfying. Dante's hand slid around her waist, pulling her closer as they moved through the crowd. He was trying to embarrass you, make you look small and controllable. You shut him down without being aggressive. That's the exact right response. Does this mean I passed the test? With flying colors. Dante's eyes were warm, proud. Emma, you just stood up to one of the most dangerous men in Chicago without flinching. Do you understand how rare that is? Emma's heart pounded, adrenaline still coursing through her. I was terrified. Bravery isn't the absence of fear, it's acting despite it. Dante stopped, turning her to face him fully. Around them, the gala continued. But in their small bubble, it was just the two of them. You're remarkable. You know that? Before Emma could respond, the music shifted a slow waltz. Dante's expression turned questioning. Dance with me? Emma let him lead her onto the dance floor. His hand was warm on her waist, his other hand holding hers gently. They moved together with surprising ease, and Emma realized this was the closest they'd been since that night in his car barely a week ago, though it felt like a lifetime. Everyone's watching us, Emma murmured. Let them. By tomorrow, every family in Chicago will know you're important to me. That's the point. Dante's eyes searched hers. Are you okay with that? With being visible this way? Emma thought about it. About the danger, the attention, the way her life had transformed in the span of days. She should have been terrified. Should have wanted to run back to her small, safe existence. But looking at Dante, at the way he looked at her, the way he'd protected her, the way he'd welcomed her into his life and his daughter's life, Emma realized something fundamental. She wasn't afraid anymore. Yes, she said simply. I'm okay with it. Dante's expression transformed relief, joy, something deeper that Emma wasn't ready to name yet. Emma. The music ended. The moment broke. But something had shifted between them. A boundary crossed. They stayed at the gala for another hour, making appearances, playing the part. But Emma felt Dante's attention on her constantly, protective and possessive in equal measure. When they finally left, Antonio driving them back through Chicago's glittering streets, Emma's feet ached from the heels and her face hurt from smiling. But she felt electric, alive, more herself than she'd been in years. "Thank you for tonight," Dante said, as they pulled up to her building. "For meeting Lucia, for handling Salvatore, he paused, seeming to struggle for words, "for giving this a chance. Giving me a chance." Emma turned to face him in the back seat. "Dante, I need to tell you something." "Okay. When I jumped in your car last week, I was running from Marcus, from fear, from a life that felt like it was slowly suffocating me." Emma took a breath. "But now? I'm not running anymore. I'm choosing this, whatever this is. I'm choosing you." Dante's hand came up, cupping her face with devastating gentleness. "Emma, I'm not done." She covered his hand with hers. "I don't know where this goes. I don't know if we're going to work or if your world is going to destroy us both. But I know that I haven't felt this alive, this seen, this real since my parents died. You did that. You made me feel like I matter. You do matter." Dante's voice was rough with emotion. "Emma, you walked into my life by accident and changed everything. Made me remember what it feels like to care about someone beyond obligation. Made me want something more than just surviving." They sat there in the car, faces inches apart, breathing the same air. Emma could see the war in Dante's eyes, wanting to kiss her, holding back, protecting her even from himself. "What are we doing?" Emma whispered. "Something terrifying," Dante admitted. "Something neither of us planned. Something that could get us both hurt." "Sounds about right." He smiled, then, finally, closed the distance between them. The kiss was soft at first, gentle, questioning. Emma's hand slid into his hair, pulling him closer, and the kiss deepened into something more: hunger, promise, connection. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Dante rested his forehead against hers. "This changes everything," he said. "I know." "Are you sure, Emma? Because once we cross this line, I'm sure." Emma kissed him again, quick and fierce. "I'm absolutely sure." Dante walked her to her building's entrance, his hand never leaving the small of her back. At her door, he kissed her once more, lingering, sweet, full of promise. "I'll call you tomorrow," he said. "You better." Emma watched him walk, back to the car, watched it pull away into the night. Then she went upstairs to her apartment, touched her lips where he'd kissed her, and smiled. Her life had gone completely insane in the span of a week. She was dating a man who ran half of Chicago's underground. She'd been targeted by rival families. She'd stepped into a world of danger and power and careful games. And somehow, impossibly, Emma Chen had never been happier. Sunday morning, 3:47 a.m. Emma's secure phone rang, jerking her awake. She grabbed it, heart pounding. "Dante? Get dressed. Now." Black clothes, comfortable shoes. Antonio's outside. His voice was hard, cold, the man from the warehouse, not the gentle father or the tender man who'd kissed her. "We have a situation." "What kind of situation?" "The kind that means you need to see exactly what my world looks like when things go wrong." A pause. "Emma, this is your last chance to walk away. If you come with me tonight, if you see what I'm about to show you, there's no going back to ignorance. You'll know everything, all of it." Emma was already pulling on jeans, a black sweater. "I told you, I'm sure. I meant it." "Then hurry. We don't have much time." 20 minutes later, Emma sat in the back of Dante's car, driving through dark Chicago streets toward something she couldn't predict. Dante sat beside her, tense and focused. "What happened?" Emma asked. "Marcus made a mistake, a fatal one." Dante's jaw was tight. He reached out to the Castellanos again, offered them something he shouldn't have: information about Lucia, her school, her schedule, her security detail. Emma's blood ran cold. "He's targeting your daughter?" He tried. "Fortunately, Salvatore is smart enough to know that children are off limits. He turned Marcus over to me as a peace offering." Dante's eyes were black fire. "Now I have to deal with him." The car stopped in an industrial area Emma didn't recognize. A warehouse, like Dante's. Office but darker, more isolated. Sophia was waiting outside with 2 other men, all armed. Dante helped Emma out of the car. "You can still wait here." "No." Emma's voice was firm despite her fear. "You said if I came tonight, I'd see your world, so show me." They walked inside together. The warehouse was mostly empty except for one thing. Marcus, zip-tied to a chair in the center of the space, his face bruised and bleeding. He looked up when they entered, and Emma saw genuine terror in his eyes. "Emma! Thank God! Tell them this is a misunderstanding. I would never—" "You tried to give information about an 8-year-old girl to criminals," Emma said coldly. "Information you got by following me, by violating my privacy, by stalking me for months. So no, Marcus, I'm not telling them anything." She turned to Dante. "What happens now?" "Now he leaves Chicago. Tonight. There's a car waiting to drive him to the airport. He gets on a plane to Seattle, starts over somewhere new. And if he ever comes back, if he ever contacts you or anyone I care about again," Dante's voice dropped to something lethal, "then Sophia puts a bullet in him. Simple." Marcus was sobbing now, begging, promising to leave, to never come back. Emma felt nothing looking at him. No satisfaction, no pity. Just emptiness, where fear used to be. "Why not just kill him?" Emma asked Dante quietly. "Because you're not ready for that. And because he's pathetic, not dangerous. Killing him would be a waste of resources." Dante gestured to Sophia, who hauled Marcus to his feet. "But Emma, understand this. If he comes back, I won't hesitate. That's my world. That's who I am." Emma watched Marcus being dragged away, still sobbing, still begging. Then she turned to Dante. "I understand. And I'm still here." Dante stared at her for a long moment. Then he pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. "You're either the strongest woman I've ever met or completely insane." "Definitely both," Emma said, against his chest. They stood there in the empty warehouse, holding each other, and Emma realized this was her life now. Danger and protection, violence and gentleness, the beautiful and the brutal all tangled together. And she'd chosen it. Chosen him. "Take me home," Emma whispered. "My home or yours?" Emma pulled back to look at him. "Yours. I want to be with you. Tonight and every night you'll have me." Dante's eyes blazed. "Emma, are you sure?" "I'm sure of exactly 2 things right now. That I'm terrified, and that I've never been more certain of anything in my life." She touched his face. "Take me home, Dante, please." So he did. And when the sun came up over Chicago, Emma Chen woke up in Dante Morelli's bed, his arm around her waist, his heartbeat steady against her back. She'd jumped into the wrong car crying for help, and found exactly the right person to save her. Not from her ex-boyfriend. Not from danger. But from a life half-lived, ruled by fear, where she'd forgotten what it meant to be brave. Dante Morelli had reminded her. And for that, Emma would love him forever. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.